Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting and welcome to Season 3 of 2025 for the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 1 this season, coming to you today from Oulton Park. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Josh Wilkie. And what I can say about this season that hasn't been said already. Welcome in, everybody. We have got another fantastic season of Weekend Warriors action. And to kick it all off, we have got the Formula V's. These cars can put on some of the best racing that you can find week in and week out on the iRacing platform, and really looking forward to this race here today. And we're doing it at Oulton Park as well, Josh. This track on this layout without the chicanes on the back end of the circuit is going to be a slipstream fest if ever we've seen one, which may be a little bit daunting to these racers, but for us on the broadcast, we've got some fun to look forward to today.
Yeah, absolutely. Back again for Season 3 here. We got a lot of the same players, but a few new faces as well. I'm expecting to see a few as we go on here. What a great place to start at Oulton Park. I love this track. It's super fast, narrow, twisty, a little bit undulating. It's got some kind of key spots you really need to hit that are hard to just nail every single lap over and over again. And like you said, we got a big long back straightaway here to kind of try to sort things out. It's going to be a pretty awesome one, I think, Ron.
Oh, it is going to be a super exciting way to kick this season off. Already in qualifying around this racetrack, 12 turns in all the chicaneless layouts. Going to be super quick as we're following James Sheldon heading his way down the backstretch. You can see about 100 miles an hour nearly down into the turn. These cars aren't the quickest in the world, if we are being completely honest. If we're being totally honest as well, they're probably some of the slowest here on the iRacing platform. But hey, they can put on some fantastic racing. And based off how close this qualifying session already is, and to those who haven't tuned into the series before, 15-minute long solo session. These drivers have 4 laps to try and get the job done, and they're currently trying to do it to the best of their abilities. Ethan Orr is your provisional pole sitter at the present moment. Tortello set to join him on the front row as it stands presently. But as we are still in this early stage of qualifying, let's do an onboard lap here with James Sheldon around this absolutely fantastic racetrack. And Josh, I'll pass it off to you to give this track guide.
Yeah, absolutely. Down the front straight here, not quite enough usually to get a pass done. This corner, very difficult right-hander, late apex, really easy to get an off track on the outside there, Ron. I've probably taken 100 of them, usually, maybe even during one race. We're going into the next left-hander here. This is a pretty important one to get right. Another late apex, you want to get it as wide as you can. Big long rip here. This is going to be a good spot to get a draft done. Coming into a kink here, a left-hand kink that, you know, it just begs you sometimes to try to maybe get a pass done here, but if you get it wrong, you end up way outside in the field there, and there is actually that tire wall down there on the right that will scoop you up. Bit of a baseball mitt corner here, right-hander. You can see you can kind of dig that right-hand wheel into that. It's almost like a little valley inside the right-hand side of that corner there. It's a bit cupped out. You can really dive in there. We're going to go straight by the chicane. Thank goodness this time down the back straightaway here. This is definitely going to be your best opportunity to draft someone and get a pass set up. Got a long time to think about this right-hander as well, that you just begs you to go faster and faster and faster every lap until you eventually get it wrong. Clips that curb, just missed the curb on the inside. You want to get that a little tighter, but that was a great line right there. Running it as wide as you can. Another big long straight here. Probably the most difficult part of the track coming up right here. This double apexer. You want to get this just right. You got to tuck it in really nice and tight here and then fight that urge to let it go wide and get it tucked in again for that second apex. Small little rip down to the back, and probably, again, one of the harder corners on the track here. It rises up, then it falls away. It begs you every single time to get on the gas early, but if you do it just a little bit wrong, the cars, you know, it can get a little bit light there and you can lose the rear end. And then we're back down the front straight again for the small rip here. So really tight, narrow track today, really fast. It's got some pretty awesome character out there too, Ron. I think it's going to provide some pretty good racing as well.
Yeah, this track, as I've said on many times on broadcasts in the past, it's one of those two kinds of UK tracks. You've got only 2 types of UK tracks, which sounds a bit offensive, but hear me out. You've got the ones built on old RAF bases like Thruxton, Silverstone, Snetterton, the ones that are rather flat. Then you've got ones like here at Oulton Park, Brands Hatch, Cadwell Park, those ones that have a rather amazing amount of elevation change, which is saying something, because when you think of mountainous countries, you don't really think of the UK UK, but the rolling hills of England can put on some fantastic racing and put on some pretty good racetracks here as well. So we got an old school track with an old school car, and we're gonna have some old school fun for round number 1 of this season. And what a schedule we've got to look forward to here for season 3 of 2025. Phillip Island, Summit Point, Cadwell Park, as I said a couple of moments ago, VIR North. Here's an odd one, Jerez. That's going to be a rather intriguing race. So will Long Beach. Oh, is Brian Szynski going to have an off-track moment heading his way out of Lodge Corner, turn number 11, burning it down, trying to get that car spun back around in the right direction. But yeah, looking through the rest of the schedule, Long Beach, the Saxon Ring, Magny Core, Okayama, which I believe we will be seeing some rain there as well this season. That's going to be some fun. Lime Rock Classic, that's always a classic of a race. And Donington on the national layout to round off this season. So a smattering of UK tracks, that all of that, a very good schedule to look forward to. And here as we follow Brian and his off-track adventures here, should be noted that Brian Szynski is making today's broadcast of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here on Slow Motion Broadcasting possible through himself and Quixote Racing. Quixote providing parts, services, and engines to Formula V racers all across the U.S. That was a perfectly timed moment for me to do that ad read.
Yes, it was. Yep, it doesn't work out like that every time. Thank you, Brian. That was a great ad for sure. Yeah, we do actually. We're going to start inviting our sponsors up to the booth here. So I did actually just shoot Brian a message. We may be able to talk to him quickly here before we jump out. Just hoping to get a little bit of insight maybe on the track, and maybe even a word or two about our sponsors and stuff like that to add a little bit of value here as well. We can't be doing these races without sponsors like Brian and others here, so we really like to thank those guys, and we're going to invite you guys up in the booth this season to come have a little chat with us before the race if you'd like.
And speaking of insight, we did get a small little bit of insight from one driver that will be out there on the racetrack right before we got this broadcast up and rolling. Had a quick little chat with our SMB colleague, Mr. Guido Marzucchi, who's usually working the cameras for the Formula Ford and Spec Race for the Weekend Warriors that you can catch on Sundays here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And we were having a brief little chat with him, asked him about the thoughts heading into the race, and he described it for the good for broadcasting terminology as he was expecting this race to be a shift show. So shift show, shiitake mushroom show. Either way, I feel like the point still remains that with a very draft-heavy layout, it is going to be a game of leapfrog that we haven't really seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I think you're right, and he's definitely right as well. This place it's a really racy track. It's narrow. It's hard to get a pass done. You kind of almost need a passing partner around here in some cases, and that causes some issues sometimes because you're not always going to have a passing partner. You kind of have to sort of facilitate passing around here a lot of the time, it being so narrow and so on. So I would imagine, a lot of the races I've had around here have been pretty hairy. It's really easy to get an off track. It's really easy to kind of force yourself into a situation that you can't get out of. And I'm expecting to see that around here for sure. As we kind of covered in the track guide there. There's some pretty difficult corners around here that are really high commitment, and when you get them wrong pretty spectacularly.
I think of all the corners that can either go really well for you or really cataclysmically wrong. We just saw Brian Hansen had his way through one of them. Shell Oil's corner, turn number 5. I like the way that you described it in the track guide there, Josh. It is kind of like a baseball glove. That's a sort of turn where it's kind of comparable in an odd way to the carousel at the other Nordschleife. Go into that, and if you carry too much momentum, you're going to go off there, skid up the banking, and then vault off the side of the track. It's like the old NASCAR days where they didn't have a wall on the outside of some of the bank turns, so if you just lost it, you just end up in the car park.
Yeah, exactly. It is very much like that corner, and they just beg, like you're saying, to go faster and faster into them, right? So you go in once and you're like, oh, I can go faster into that. And you do it again, you're like, oh, I could probably even go faster. And then before you know it, you're over the top of that berm, or you're out into the grass, and that's it. And it's really easy to do that. More likely here, the Nordschleife really actually does kind of hawk you out of that carousel. And man, do you ever lose a lot of time if you do. It's not quite so penalizing here if you sort of miss that line a little bit, but it's really easy to loop the car there. I've done it a few times where you kind of get into it and you just get on the brakes a little too hard, and it's really easy to loop it kind of on that right-hander. I expect to see at least one person probably get that wrong today. It almost happens every race, but we shall see. It's a really good place to try to kind of force a pass too if you you know, have the biggest cojones in the room kind of thing. Not maybe the smartest place to do it though, Ron.
Yeah, not really. Like, it can go very well, or it can go absolutely terribly. And you brought up another point talking about that section of the track, the off-track area, coming through Island Bend of turn number 4, the left-handed, very fast kink down into that section of the racetrack. You've got some grass and gravel out there, so that's already a bad situation. Then you've got a tire barrier, so you can't just, like, play bowling. I think it was Vitantonio Liuzzi back at the Italian Grand Prix in 2011, who just came barreling in like a bat out of hell and swiped out about 3 cars down into turn 1 at Monza. You can't do that here down into turn number 5. They have that tire barrier sticking out. So I like to compare that really like a giant ice cream scoop. It will scoop out your car and just send you a very, very nasty bill. Ice cream, even if you got Gold Flake ice cream, won't cost as much as it would to repair a race car if you have an off-track moment coming out of turn number 4 down into turn at number 5. But the checkered flag is out here in this qualifying session, and for the first time this season, we do have a starting grid to take a look at before this 30-minute long race in front of us here this afternoon. That's going to be Ethan Orr starting from the pole, reigning champion, 3-time reigning champion. In fact, Mr. Tortola set to join him on the front row. We're going to have Weekend Warriors veteran Felix Samoas starting alongside our Masters pole sitter of Alan DeGassis. In P5, it will be James Matthew Sheldon. Alongside him will be your Spec 2 pole sitter of Parvinder Ladar. In P7 will be series admin Jim Brewster alongside our SMB colleague, Mr. Guido Marzuki. In P number 9 will be Andrew Love, and running at your top 10 will be reigning Formula 4 Weekend Warriors champion Antonio Reese.
Yeah, and then in P11 we have Michelle Lynn, our admin of the Formula V and Dolbdime Racing. Brian Straczynski, our sponsor for today, in P12. In P13 we have Ken Pula. In P14 Dan Straczynski. In P15 we have Russell Telger from Mom's Basement Racing. Jonathan Paget is in 16th. Jason Grider in 17th, and Brad Cathcart in 19th there. One of the last guys in our Masters class today, Joshua Justice, is joining us this season in the V's. Excellent to see Joshua Justice out there, a real SRF driver in the V's this season. And Brian Hansen in 20th there with Spicy Racing.
That is a absolutely fantastic name there, Spicy Racing. Only 3 more cars left. Wayne Buttermore, Kane Lasky, and Brian Debelau from Luxembourg. You know, I will say, first time I've been able to see a driver specifically from Luxembourg. I believe he is a Spec 2 racer. So one of the smaller changes that has been introduced here for this season of iRacing is gone are the days of the clubs. Instead, you can just have your own national flag. So I am now just marked as United States instead of being from the state of Pennsylvania. I'll tell you what, the amount of races that I've done where I've maybe upset some people, the amount of times I've been told to go back to the coal mine to get out the sim rig, considering I'm from PA, would really beg a belief. So happy that we have this new system, and nice to see some new national flags out there. But we won't be seeing one British flag at the start of this race, as James Matthew Sheldon, he's gone back to the pits. So that's a rather big development. James Sheldon not going to be taking the start.
Yeah, that's a disappointment for sure. I mean, it's always going to be fun to watch James come through the field, which I'm sure he will do, but you know, I'm wondering if maybe that was just a mess up. I've done it a couple times there where, you know, you had to load a setup, or you're like, oh no, I didn't put enough fuel in the car. Oops, I loaded my wrong setup, or you had to stand up for a minute or what have you, and you just missed the start by a second, and that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt today, but hopefully he will take the start here, and we'll be able to see him come up through the field. We know James has some speed, and if anybody can kind of pick their way through the field, he's probably a pretty good candidate for that. But we're rounding the corner here, Ron, about to get first round of Season 3 underway.
As a green flag is that, and the drivers are on their way. It's a good start there from our pole man of Ethan Orr. He's got to try and lead them comfortably down into turn number 1. Felix Samoas and Tortolo slot in right behind. There's Sheldon rolling off a pit lane, so we will be starting this race, albeit non-P5. Instead, he's going to be all the way at the back of the pack as the drivers head their way out of turn number 1, down the hill, off into the very challenging Cascades turn number 3. Super good spot to try and get a move done, but also a super tough spot to try and go side by side and have it not end in disaster. That's contact a little bit farther in the back. That, I believe, unless I am very much mistaken, is Grider and Padgett. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that looked like they just kind of got stuck together. Another spinner back there. I think that was Antonio Reese, perhaps, getting sideways all on his own. Looks like he collected somebody as well. Try to jump back to the front here. Pretty eventful start to the race here, though, Ron. Like we said, this is not an easy place to kind of sort yourself out, and the first lap's going to be the hardest time to do that. It looks like we've lost at least 3 or 4 drivers here, as Tortello having a good look at Ethan Orr already. You got Felix Samoas in tow there. I think this is going to be a pretty good one, Ron.
Yeah, this is going to be a game where that drafting game of leapfrog is going to be prevalent from the drop of the green flag all the way through to the fall of the checkered. And with that massively long run down the hilltop straightaway, basically out of turn number 5 all the way through into Knickerbrook of 7. I will take every single opportunity I can to say that turn name because it is absolutely fantastic. You are going flat out. You have a fantastic shot to try and get some moves done, and we will be seeing those drivers take advantage of that draft all throughout this race. So one driver that's had a brilliant start is Josh Justice. We follow him right now, currently marked in P11. He's gained 8 spots on lap 1 of this 30-minute long race. Incredible stuff from Justice, even with a bit of lawn mowing on the exit of turn number 11.
Yeah, absolutely. We just kind of tuned in with him there. He made a really sweet pass on the inside there to get those last couple maneuvers done. So he's definitely piloting forward here. You know, we know he's got some real world experience, and he's fast in the SRFs. He's fast in basically everything he drives in, and I would imagine he's going to be the same around here as we see Tortello now taking the lead of the race over Ethan Orr here. Felix Samoas in tow. Alan DeGasse is just behind him. Lots of speed out of Alan in the last season or two. Always up here in the front now. Definitely a contender for podiums almost every race. Then just behind that we got, I believe it's Jim Brusker and Guido Marzucci just kind of bringing up the rear behind them, but starting to gap out a little bit here now. And as soon as we get a chance, we'll go back and see if we can't have a look at exactly what happened to some of our drivers on that first lap there. A little bit of attrition already, as it looks like we've lost another one here just momentarily.
As we see these racers go side by side yet again at the front of the field, Tortello looking to jump into the race lead in front of Ethan Orr, and Felix Samoa is looking to get a move done on the driver of the number 22 car as well, down into the turn. Looks like that will end in Tullo jumping into the race lead, Ethan Orr remaining in P2. Felix Samoa's friends at the podium still. Alan DeGassis, though, the rear gunner of this pack, he really did have a good season in season number 2 of 2025 here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Was able to grab 5 wins, ended that season when it was all said and done. A rather brilliant P2 in the championship. He only fished behind series admin Jim Brewster, who had 5 wins in his own right. And yeah, I mean, he's just absolutely insanely consistent throughout these races. So Jim Brewster was able to walk away with the championship in the Masters category last season. However, Alan DeGassis really gave Jim a run for his money. So look at Alan in that 927 car, currently slotted in P4. And a reminder to those who haven't tuned into this series before, or who haven't heard me say this in quite some time, these drivers are scored not based off of their class position, but based off of their overall finishing position. Doesn't matter whether you're a Spec 1, Spec 2, or Masters racer, a P5, a P2, a P1, a P17 awards the exact same points regardless. So round the gas is to be inside the top 4 and be there within striking distance of your race leader of Tortello. That's a really good result. So let's see that driver, the 927 car.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. Absolutely. This place is, it's going to definitely provide some, as we see Sheldon already. That was a power from Sheldon on the left side there, just rocketing through, taking 2 cars at once, one on the outside, then the next on the inside into that right-hander, and he's already attacking the 3rd car here. So he wants forward in that Pink Panther car for sure. He just blew the doors off these guys, and I would imagine he's going to continue to do so. He's made up quite a few positions already, Ron. Wow. And Josh Justice here as well, just moving forward.
And Josh Justice making up some moves. James Sheldon making up some moves as well. According to our ticker, he is down spots because he was set to start this race in P5. However, he had to come down pit lane before even the start of the formation lap. Started all the way at the back in P23. He's made his way up to 10th. So that's a brilliant drive up to this point from James Sheldon. One retiree thus far from this race, and that is Russell Telker, who I don't believe actually took the start of this race. That or there's been some sort of chicanery to go on involving him. Here is James Matthew Sheldon and his run through pit lane right at the very beginning of it. You can see everyone blowing his doors off, including even the pace car as well. And once he rejoined the racetrack, he was able to begin that charge. First off, by just getting some moves done a little bit farther in the back, and secondly, by avoiding the chaos as it went on around him throughout the entirety of that first lap.
Yeah, it's definitely able to pick up a couple kind of easy ones in the beginning there, and then after that, you know, once you can kind of get to the back of the pack and start getting a draft, you can see him here just picking up the 2. We'll go back and have a quick look at that incident right away here as well. See if we can't figure out exactly what happened to. I believe that was Jonathan Padgett getting caught up in that one, maybe with Jason Grider. They're still kind of in the back here as we got Joshua Justice now looking up the inside.
Ooh, and it's the 2 hard chargers thus far in this race, battling tooth and nail down into turn number 5. You can see a little bit of a wiggle there from the 88 of Sheldon, the 99 of Justice having to back out of it and remain in P11. Now, though, he's going to have a chance to fight back down this massively long back straightaway. Sheldon, he's going to be the one punching that hole in the air, and that is not the spot you want to be at this point of the race. Justice, though, I think he's going to be playing the patient game. Josh Justice, I mean, I hope he does not take offense to me saying this. He is usually the most fiery racer that you see in some of these events, but he's taking it patient at the present moment. You can see he just got a move put on him around the outside down into Knickerbrook. That was Brad Cathcart on the 905.
Excellent
sweeping
move
around the outside of him. That was a brilliant move.
Yeah, excellent move from Brad Cathcart there. Love seeing Brad making some moves. We've seen him around, you know, in all of these series, and he's always there. I love to see him make some moves like that and see if he can't go forward a little bit, get a little bit more aggressive. We know he's got the pace out there. It's just find his driving sometimes a little bit timid, a little bit maybe questioning what the next move should be kind of thing. And loving to see him make some moves here and getting a little bit pointy. So hopefully we can see him move forward a bit here. And he's with the big boys right now. He's got 2 really fast drivers around him. So whenever I'm in situations like this, I try to take in as much as I can. You know, you're not trying to get in their way. You're not trying to stay totally out of their way either, if you know what I mean, Ron.
Yeah, I got the yin and yang at this point of the race. You don't want to just let everyone blow your doors off, but at the same time, there is a certain amount of give and take that you should be doing at this point of the race. There is no point battling tooth and nail and being like, you know what, my life depends on me holding on to P17 at this point with about 12 minutes left to go in this race. We've got 22 minutes left to go in this race, so long way off from that, and it is still a close battle at the front of the field between Ethan Orr, Tortolo, Felix Samoas, and Alan DeGas is involved in that battle as well. Side by side, gonna flare up between Tolo and Orr. Felix Samoas maybe got to stick it in the middle, go 3 wide.
Oh, he thought about it.
Top straightaway. Yeah, he certainly did.
He thought about it for a second there, I think. Thinking better of it again, you know, as you're saying, you really got to kind of think around here. You got to be pretty heads up. It's so narrow as we're seeing them sorted out. That was a little bit late. You know, you see these this pack of cars kind of sorting out that corner just a little bit late on that one, where you're seeing the guys in the front kind of had that figured out before they got there. A little bit more froggy back here, and that's how you end up in an incident. You're sort of overlapping with somebody, and before you know it, you're in the middle of the corner and you're overlapping, and then it's too late and you're locking tires, as we're seeing here, shapes being cut all over the place, Ron.
The shapes are getting cut, and I think there will have to be some drivers cutting each other off to end up in the wall, because this is getting really hair-raising. These are some of the most venerated drivers here in the FV Weekend Warriors, and they're seeing the red mist. I'm not even talking about the ones that have a spot of red on their race cars side by side between Brewster and Marzuki down into turn number 1. Look at Guido see. Whoa, boy,
side.
he
Just
really sawing at the wheel, heading down into the turn. That's Justice running a little bit wide farther in the back as it's side by side yet again, this time involving Jim Brewster and Andrew Love. Andrew Love, your top running Spec 2 racer as it stands presently. Michelle Lynn, your top running of your top running Spec 2 driver. Your second to top running Spec 2 racer, as looking to maybe get a move done on Brewster in the not too far off future. James Matthew Sheldon jumping his way up the pack as well. These were 2 separate and independent packs. No, terribly long ago. Look at that from James Sheldon, sticking it down the inside. Michelle Lynn into 5.
Yeah, he's definitely looking to break into that one for sure. He's got that dialed. Like we were saying before, you can really, really jam the car into that corner if you get it just right. You can kind of hook your right side tire in there, and he is on a mission here today for sure. You can see that the braking difference he has compared to his competitors there. He's got this place just dialed. So he's going to see how he takes this one too, how much curb he takes here. Again, oh, a little. I didn't quite get her tucked in there. That's probably going to be worth an off track for him. Not sure what we're at here, but you know, those lap times. Have a quick look at our lap times here, and it looks like Tortola with a 49.5, and Sheldon not quite there, but he's still making up places. I think he's going to be moving forward here, and this is going to be a hard group of cars to pass right here.
Oh boy, there we go. Swapping sides like he's flipping burgers down into turn number 11. James Sheldon going down the inside of Jim Brewster. Put on a rather aggressive move on series admin Michelle Lynn, and just put another rather aggressive move on the other series admin Jim Brewster. That's probably not going to win him any favors when it comes to that, but he got the move done for clean for now. Keyword being for now. Don't want to risk it too much, especially at this stage of the season. He was able to walk away with the opening win of last season at Catwell Park, and at another hilly UK racetrack. And as a British driver, probably has some experience with some of these racetracks. I think he would be good. That's Sheldon. We're following him right now. He does not have the number 99 associated with him. Instead, he's got the 933. Looking at the move down the inside on him, down into turn at number 4. That could have ended in tears. This battle is really starting to get hair raising, and and that was nearly Andrew Love dipping himself off the track and out of it.
Yeah, you can see the difference between some drivers there. Jim Brewster, you know, all credit to him. He's not going to be an easy guy to pass usually. He's going to fight you. He's going to make sure, you know, when you do pass, he's going to try to come back. And then you see Andrew Love. He pretty much just got out of the way of James Sheldon there. He's like, all right, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to tag onto the back of you. That's probably going to get me past Guido with you, which looks like it's about to work out for him here. And then if he can attach himself to James Sheldon, then boom, he's got some pace that he didn't have a minute ago, and he's ahead of his competitors. So good heads-up thinking from James Sheldon there. Doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes, you know, defending is the way to go, but, you know, it's always going to be defense, I think, from Jim Brewster. Definitely a consummate racer out there. I've been wheel-to-wheel with him many times. Always a fun guy to race back and forth, but you can really see the difference between the two thoughts just in that one corner, or in those couple corners there, and sort of played it for them.
And, you know, speaking of this battle and the driver who is really bringing the thunder in it all, James Matthew Sheldon, we've talked about this already throughout this race, and we'll continue to mention it. He started this race down pit lane, was meant to start this race in P5, but he did not. Instead, he is running in the spot that he would have started in at this point, about halfway into this race, a tick below that. In fact, we're coming up to that point in about 2 minutes' time. I have done some investigative journalism. And by investigative journalism, I do mean looking at the iRacing chat in sim to see what some of these drivers were saying to each other before the start of the race. And looks like James Matthew Sheldon's original plan was that he was going to start down pit lane. So I think this may have actually been planned at the end of the day, and based off the fact that he's been able to go from P23 all the way up to P5 in the span of about 14 minutes, really shows you that I think he has some confidence at this racetrack. And interestingly enough, the driver he was chatting with in that small little pre-race chat that I am referencing was Tortolo, who's looking very confident right now, even though he just dropped back behind Ethan Orr and slips into second.
Yeah, doing a little bit of leapfrog there. I think that was sort of a facilitated pass, if we're honest there. You're not really going to fight that one too much. You want to stay away from this pack. James is coming for sure. It's going to be very difficult for him to catch that front pack if they keep leapfrogging like that. If they keep fighting at the front, there's a good chance that these guys will catch up to them. If they don't, they got about a 7-second gap right now. So that's going to be a hard one to make up if they can continue to sort of facilitate passes for each other up at the front and stay up there. But James Sheldon now with a just pack of cars behind him, he will be setting the pace for them. He's dragging the rest of these cars sort of into his pace with him now, and showing all his lines off and his braking points off. And you know, if you're back there, if you're Guido, and I'm sure he is, he's picking up on that stuff, and he's going to try to stay with James as much as he can, and that's just going to drag him forward. But that is a pack of race cars there. We have some consummate racers in that pack there as well. I'm expecting to see a little more fireworks here before we're done, Ron. It's like actually we've lost a bit of Josh Justice here too. Now, did he lose some positions or did he just stop? No, it looks like he did go off track here. So I'm going to go back and have a quick look and see maybe what happened to Josh Justice here. He's making up some positions, and we seem to have lost him. This looks like it might be earlier in the race. Yeah, that was right at the beginning with Grider, and I believe that was Jonathan as well, so maybe we'll go back and have a quick peek at that too.
And that was brilliant timing for us to notice that Justice had dropped back a little bit, because as I was chatting off into nothing with my microphone muted, I was noting a thing involving the James Matthew Sheldon and Josh Justice fight that we saw a little bit earlier on in this race. I was going to say, okay, we're back. James Matthew Sheldon briefly blinked in and out of existence there, but he is back and is still running at the front of this pack, as we nearly saw some 3-wide action between Jim Brewster, Andrew Love, and Michelle Lynn, as you do. I said this as we jump to this battle, and I will say it yet again, these drivers are some of the most venerated, in not only the Formula V Weekend Warriors world, but the Weekend Warriors world, period. You've got Michelle Lynn and Andrew Love, who are both the reigning champion and the champion before last season in the Spec 2 category. Then Jim Brewster, series admin and reigning Masters champion. So the fact they're putting on the battle that they are is really insane. As we take a look at that moment with Justice, that goes so much worse.
Yeah, that corner is a hard corner to get right in the first place, let alone if you have a face full of somebody's rear bumper while you're trying to enter it. And I think that's kind of what happened there. He sort of just missed his turn in and slingshotted himself way to the outside and took the driver with him, but able to hold on to that one. Looks like he's kind of just biding his time here. He's definitely still fighting off Brad Cathcart behind there. Was finding some great pace today out of Brad. And Jim Brewster in front here. If I was Josh Justice, I would definitely be looking at that front pack. Not an easy group of cars to pass in front of him, though. Those are some consummate racers up there, as we see James Sheldon getting attacked here by Marzucci into the baseball mitt.
And contact being made between Sheldon and Marzucchi. Yeah, I think that was maybe potentially a bit of netcode. I'm not entirely sure from that camera angle. Couldn't really get a 100% official confirmation as to whether or not that was netcode contact, but nonetheless, Marzucchi getting shuffled out a little bit. Michelle Lynn now going to try and pounce on Sheldon side by side down into Knickerbrook of turn at number 7. Who's going to win out that battle? Looks like it's going to be Sheldon for now. They're side by side and dicing right behind, though. Brad Cathcart getting in the center of all that. First time we've really seen Brad run in one of these Formula V Weekend Warriors races. He's a standout star over on the Spec Racer Ford side of things here in the WW world. Don't really see him in the FVs, don't really see him in the Formula Cars, period. But he's here to fight at Oulton Park, as he's at the epicenter of this battle. We'll take a look at a replay to see that moment of Lynn and Sheldon battling tooth and nail down into the turn. That could have ended in disaster. It didn't, though. And I think those drivers should be thinking about maybe buying a lottery ticket, because it didn't.
Yeah, that was real close on the front. I believe that was Andrew Love's nose. I'm going to see if I can't get a shot of it from his nose here. It looked like, yeah, Michelle made the really aggressive move there. It looks like she was going to try to get by Sheldon and then maybe not going to do it into the corner, and just decided to kind of back out of it. Not as close as I thought it was. Still a great move, though. Really good heads-up driving from Michelle there.
Yeah, it takes a very long and lengthy amount of time in this series to know, yeah, that's not going to end well.
That's right, yeah.
Get out of the throttle. It's a skill that you have to learn running in this series, and Michelle, series admin, certainly knows that rather well. As we jump back to the action at the front of the field, Ethan Orr in front of Tortello, at least for now, as Tullo gonna try and get that move done down the back stretch on Orr. The game of leapfrog continuing between these racers. We'll say, though, as those two have been swapping positions like it's going out of style, Felix Samoz and Alan DeGassis running in P3 and P4, they have had a rather tame race up to this point. They've been just sitting in the slipstream of the two cars in front and saying, you know what? Let me admire the bird song. Oh, one driver who's not Andrew Love, I think he just went off into the barrier, says he has done it to turn number 7. I was thinking that battle was going to end in tears with how hard those racers were battling, and based off the fact they were 3 wide, I think that may have been it.
Yeah, you're not going to make it 3 wide through here. Oh, it gets the chrome horn from Sheldon there for sure. I'm not really sure there was much James could have done there, to be fair. That was pretty close, but we'll have another peek at that. It looks like we've actually lost Sheldon and a few other drivers here as well, so we're going to have to go back and have a look at exactly what happened, but we have had a schmozzle.
Yeah, I think in all of that, pure unbridled carnage broke loose. Sheldon, he's out of the race. Andrew Love, he's in the pits. Oh, there's some more drama a little bit farther on, farther along the
Wow.
racetrack. I think what happened in the stack up as they headed their way out of turn number 7, following that contact with Love, it just created a huge stack up effect out of the turn and eventually led to this. Yeah, look at that. Holy cow. That's 5 cars involved in all that. Cathcart, that's Sheldon, Michelle Lynn getting a piece of that action, Morzuki and Brewster all involved in that. Holy cow. That whole field basically.
Yeah, that was a big one. Nothing Brad could do there for sure. He just got ricocheted into the wall. You can see James here too. Just wow, I can't even quite find a good spot to start from here. So let's see if we can't get a blimp shot maybe. Yeah, and just how did that start off is what I'm trying to find out here. It looks like Jim Brewster and Sheldon got into it. Let's go back to live pictures here, see if I can't find a better start point. See if we can't see how that kicked off, but I think that might have been between James and Jim.
And one driver who I don't think we've mentioned at all throughout this, actually 2 drivers who have been involved in their own bits of drama. Kane Lasky, he's out of this race and has been for quite some time. And Brian DeBallo, the other new driver here in this series, he's out of this race as well. So it looks like the field has been trimmed out somewhat. Andrew Love, he's decided to call it a day. And let's take a look at this here. You can see that was Sheldon going off the track following that contact with himself and Andrew Love. And looking good as they head their way up the hill. That was a huge miscalculation from James Matthew Sheldon. Hits the side of Brewster, who spins violently off into the wall. Brad Cathcart gets caught up in all of that, and Michelle Lynn and Guido Morzuki. Unfortunate for the both of them that they got caught up in all of that drama as well. And I gotta say, and this is honest, Guido said this race was going to be a shift show, and an incident like that really proves it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was just a miscalculation there, wasn't it, Ron? It looks like he maybe thought he was clear on that side, just cut over and boom, took Jim and a bunch of other drivers out there with him. And, Andrew Love just before that as well. I'm just going to go quickly and try to rewind that back to you and see if we can't find out how Andrew Love kind of got hung out to dry here on the outside again. Looks like we're trying the 3 wide things. Not really going to work through here. And, yeah, just got the chrome horn. So unfortunately, I don't think that move was ever totally on. I'm not really sure how to call that one, Ron. He could have backed out of it, maybe Sheldon there. I'm not really sure. It's just kind of two cars trying to occupy the same piece of track.
I'll tell you what, and this is my personal side of things. I'm a commentator, not a driver. I used to drive karts, but I commentate race cars now on screen, so you can take this however you may choose to. I'm just going to give my 2 cents and say James Matthew Sheldon is a very, very talented racer. He's quick. He's got the speed. Actually joined this series, ironically enough, by tuning into one of these broadcasts one day, and I remember trying to send some links to him in the YouTube chat. So, Jonathan Paget braking big time. Not sure what the deal is for the driver of the 376 car. Maybe a slowdown, potentially. That could have been it. But to wrap up my point that I was going to say about James Matthew Sheldon, very quick racer, very aggressive racer as well. And you look at the drivers he was battling with, the 2 series admins of Michelle Lynn and Jim Brewster getting caught up in all of that, and Sheldon making contact with Brewster in all of that drama as well. Now, not sure whether there was some sort of technical issue there or what, whether a screen blanked out, but just in terms of the way that battle was shaking out and the way it ended, I'm going to say a comment that Julian Palmer made a couple of years ago during a F1 broadcast. Way to make yourself enemy number 1. I'm not saying that he's at fault for anything that happened. I'm just saying that being as aggressive as you can be with some of the top drivers in the series is maybe not the way to make friends. But hey, we're out here having a good time. Some drivers, on the other hand, they're looking for wins.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I totally catch your drift as well. It's not necessarily that you're out there trying to be a pain or anything like that, but it just comes off that way sometimes, right? They know you've started from the pit and you're making up a ton of positions, and then you get into a big one trying to get by people, and it just can tend to look a little desperate sometimes. I don't think that's what James was thinking at all. He's a pretty calculated driver out there, but that's just how it feels sometimes when you get caught up in something like that. And I can see how maybe a driver would kind of come away with a bad taste in their mouth after that. But, you know, hopefully they'll have a look at the broadcast and see, you know, he's making some pretty clean passes all the way through there and sort of got tangled up. So hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to him after. But Wayne Buttermore here, I'm just mentioning or noticing, doing really well today, almost into the top 10 here. So he's able to find some pace. We're usually seeing him kind of back in the 15, 16, you know, 18, something like that, sort of around the almost in the top. He is in the top 10 now. So really good drive out of Wayne Buttermore today. Always great to see him out there. I don't think I've seen him. I've been doing this for 3 years, 4 years now. I don't think I've seen him miss a race, Ron. He's always around.
Yeah, Wayne Buttermore, he will always make an appearance here in this series, and in the entirety of the Ray Esports world. You know, we can catch him on the other Weekend Warrior stuff. We also catch him on the other Ray Esports races when they were being held from late October, I believe, was the first race of this past season. Oh, we jinxed him. We absolutely jinxed him down into turn number 11. Long corner, very tough corner to try and nail down, it must be said. Downhill, a little bit off camber.
Yep.
Also got the elevation change on corner exit as well. That is just about every single thing that a race car does not want to do is what you've got to do down into the turn.
It's a great way to put it, actually, Ron. Yeah, it is. It's you dip down and then back up, and you're on the brakes and turning at the same time, and then you get on the gas when the car is light. It's everything a car doesn't want to do is everything that corner is, and he actually handled that quite well. Not to spin the car there. Really easy to make the arse end the front end, if you know what I mean, in that corner, and he was able to hold that off. So good job for Wayne. Hopefully he'll be able to make up some positions, kind of back where, you know, he's still probably a little bit forward of where he would be generally. So hopefully he can make up a couple positions here. Some great pace out of him today.
And, you know, one thing I've neglected to mention up to this point in time, talking about how much that Spec 2 class has changed, because in that drama that we saw not terribly long ago, the two main drivers that we were seeing battling for the Spec 2 oh boy, worst time to get the hiccups. The two drivers we were seeing battling for the win in Spec 2, Michelle Lynn and Andrew Love, both got taken out and all that. Andrew's out, and Michelle Lynn is well farther in the back, currently slotted P15. So in all of that, Parvinder Ladar has actually been able to jump into the lead in Spec 2, and that'd be a very good result for him. Very nice guy. He's been a veteran of the series for the past couple of seasons, and looking like he's on track to maybe win this race. But Josh Justice, he's right behind him. It's basically a tenth and a half between those two racers as they head their way down the start-finish straightaway. There it is right now. And you look a little bit farther in the back of this camera shot once the camera switch. Actually, you can see a little bit of it there as they exited out of turn number 1. Dan Szynski in the back of shot there as well. Dan, another racer in this championship that's always there in that Spec 2 battle. Very good racer, very clean racer as well. He's weathered the storm up to this point, and for the driver who finished 3rd in last season's Spec 2 championship, I have a feeling that he may be trying to gun for a higher spot, potentially even a championship win. Let's see how it works for him.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's good point about Parvinder and stuff too there. We've seen him, when he first started in the series there, he was actually up near the front a few times, if I remember correctly. So he's definitely got pace out there, and we know Josh Justice has pace too, so kind of interesting to see these two actually kind of meeting up on track together. They're probably it's actually, it kind of fits, doesn't it? And Dan just behind them there, not quite in the drafts, to be a little bit difficult for him to catch up. Maybe he can get a 10th or 2 here. If these guys start fighting some more, Dan will be with them shortly here. And back up to the front, we're still pretty close to the front here. Nothing's really changed much here. We've had Ethan Orr and Tor back and forth at the fronts. Felix, I don't believe, has taken a lead yet, nor has Allen. They're just back there waiting for that final lap or two to see what they're going to do, and we're about there. We're at 29 minutes and 22 seconds. The white flag is out. The button has been pressed. The graphic is up. Wonder how this one's going to end up. It looks like, Tor are usually able to kind of squeak these ones out in the end with some sort of miraculous run down the front straight, so we'll see, Ron.
And one small little wrench that may be thrown in the works potentially as a fan out and run all the way off the track coming out of turn number 3. I was going to say Brad Cathcart at the epicenter of all that drama. Looks like he is pulled over to the side, trying to get out of the way. A Weekend Warriors veteran playing the sportsman role there. Felix Samoa is jumping into 2nd. I don't think that's a catbird seat, though. I think the catbird seat is probably P3 because you're close enough to the race leader whereby you can really make a charge, but you're getting enough of a draft whereby you will have that speed to be be able to make a charge. And as is so very often the case, it's Tortolo holding on to that catbird seat. Let's see if he can jump into the race lead between now and the end. He's got a challenge from DeGassis as Samoas is challenging Orr. They're side by side down the backstretch off into turn number 7, and Felix Samoa is going to jump his way up into the race lead. DeGassis and Tullo, they settled their differences. Tullo actually dropping down a little bit. I don't think it's going to be his in this race. Instead, I think the fight's going to be very much on between Ethan Orr and Felix Samoas, heading their way up the straight down into turn number 10 of Druid's Corner for the last time in this race. They head their way out of the turn under the Warwick Bridge. Who's going to be able to win this race? Samoas is holding on to the race lead, but Ethan Orr looking for the move around the outside down into turn number 11. Who's going to win out in that battle? Leslie breakers down into the turn. Ethan Orr going to run a little bit wide off into the grass. Not going to be able to get it done. Samoa is going to lead him out of the final turn. DeGassis jumps up to second, but Samoa is going to win the opening race of this season.
Yeah, great finish there at the end. Great driving from all the drivers there at the end to stay off each other. That was a great finish for everybody, and Felix Samoa is going to take that from third. You were right, Ron. It's the catbird seat there up in third place, probably the best place to be, as we got Joshua Justice and Parvin Ladar right to the line there. Not quite enough for Joshua Justice. Dan Trzynski going to bring in 7th place there, and then we have Hansen and a couple other S2 drivers here as well. The closest battle definitely being up in the front there. So we got one more fairly close one here between Greider and I believe that's Jonathan Paget. I believe that's in front of him. Or nope, that's Ken Poulin. So pretty close there. A couple new drivers out there today putting in some pretty good work as well, Ron.
And what a way to kick this season off. It's Samoas winning it at the end of the day. Ethan Orr, he ended up in P3 and all that. I gotta say, the pack at the front of the field, it was just about nothing between those racers. I'm going to go based off the iRacing information, and yeah, looking at it, 0.3 of a second between Samoa as your winner and Tortolo, your P4 driver at the end of this race. No, not your second place finisher, your 4th place finisher at the end of this race, 0.3 of a second behind. Let's take a look at that. You can see Ethan Orr just outbraking himself a little bit, stuck on that outside line, probably stuck in the dirt and the marbles, just skids his way off the track. DeGas is going to take advantage of that run. And hey, if that start finish line was probably about, I don't know, probably 150, 250 feet farther down the track, who knows, we may have seen Alan DeGassis walk away with the first win of the season. He was there within striking distance, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Always there. Not quite enough in it today, but really super clean drive from Alan today, and everybody up front as well. Had a little bit of attrition here and there back in the pack. Bit of a froggy start there for a few drivers, but they were able to finish it out. And obviously, we had that one big one mid-race there with James Sheldon catching a few drivers out there with a... Yeah, I think he was in chat here. I believe he just didn't see he was there, and that's a mistake we've all made before. He just thought it was clear and wasn't quite clear and clipped him and caused a big one. It happens, but great push from him to make up to where he did, and what an awesome finish here as well. Ron will get one more look at it here from a couple different angles.
That was a brilliant battle right to the end. As soon as I saw that run up to the line, I was thinking, don't tell me Alan DeGassis is going to sneak through with the victory. But I gotta say, and this is honest, I kind of expected that in a rather odd way. I was going to say in reference to that front pack battle, as Ethan Orr and Tortolo were taking the lion's share of the lead in the early stages. You could just look at Samoas and DeGassis running right behind. They're like, you know what? Let's take it easy. Let's take it calm, and let's just be patient at the end of this race. And that's exactly what they did, and that's exactly how they were able to finish P1 and P2. They let them fight. They learned right behind and were able to walk away with the victory at the end of this, as we see a pretty big spin right towards the end involving Brian Trzynski. That's heading his way through the very challenging turn number 10, Druid's Corner. Around this track, it basically feels like you're driving off the side of a cliff on corner exit, but as we see some replays of these drivers, we'll see if there were any sort of jump shenanigans. Yes, there were. Michelle,
that's what I was looking for.
In the air.
Fitty.
You know what? It wasn't nice. A jump. It was a move that I think I've only ever seen be done in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, bit of a Smith grind going on there on the tires. Locked it in pretty good. Oh, we see somebody jumping through the background. Let's see if we can't find... End over end for the Dull Dime car.
Of the world.
Yeah, still looking like it's actually put together there too. You get a couple more here. Why not? The fart car there getting into Michelle Lynn. Yeah, we usually have a pretty good session of burning the cars down here at the end, and it looks like today will be no different with Jason Grider and the Nassau car trying to take off. And yeah, that's a good one.
And as we saw those drivers hit those jumps, I gotta say, we have a lot of drivers looking to have a chat with us at the end of this broadcast. So I think as we see these jump shenanigans go on, I will cut it off to the... Oh, boy, that's a nice little jump there from Wayne Buttermore. Wasn't really sure exactly what we're going to see there, but it was a rather interesting move. And hey, he lands on all fours as Brad Cathcart jumps right across the camera. Gotta say, if they take one of the cameras out, these drivers will have to pay to replace those cameras here that we use on slow motion broadcasting. But I think we're going to take a look at the results. We've got a whole lot of drivers looking to have a chat with us. Maybe some of them looking to kick my butt in after some of the stuff that I've said about them and their driving over the years. So let's take a look at the other results at the end of it all here today. It's going to be Felix Samoa's winning it in front of Alan DeGassis in P2. A brilliant result for your Masters racer and Masters winner. Ethan Orr will be running at your overall podium in third. Tortolo will finish this race in fourth as your reigning champion here in the FV Weekend Warriors in front of Parvinder Ladar, your Spec 2 winner, weathering the storm and holding off to win it in that class, finishing P5 overall. Very good result from him. Good result as well for Josh Justice. He finishes in sixth. Dan Szynski ends up P2 of the Spec 2 racers in P7. Brian Hansen in P8. Ken Poulin in at 9th. Jason Grider in 10th. And looking through, I think Brian Szynski may have picked up a penalty right towards the end of this race because he was solidly inside the top 10. Then I think something kicked in because he's currently classed down to 14th.
Yeah, and then after that we have our new driver of Jonathan Paget. I believe fairly new. Maybe we had him for a race or two last season, but doing pretty well today in 11th place. Wayne Buttermore as well, 12th. Good showing from him there. A little bit of attrition there during the race. Probably could have had a bit of a better position today, but still doing really good. Jim Brewster getting caught up in a big one there, still able to come out with 13th. Brian Trzynski in 14th. Michelle Lynn as well, getting caught up in that big incident as well, but able to pull out a 15th. Guido Marzucci in 16th. Antonio Reese is in 17th. Brad Cathcart in 18th. And we do have a couple more. James Sheldon with just an amazing rip up to almost into the podium positions there, and then had a gigantic one. Just a bit of a misjudgment, I think, on a maneuver there into Jim Brewster, and ended up taking a bunch of people out, but hopefully he'll be back next race and not get a pit lane start. Andrew Love also getting caught up in kind of some shenanigans near the end there and missing out on a better result. New driver in here in 21st place. A little bit of attrition for him as well, 8 laps down. Kane Lasky, didn't see much of him today, nor did we see much of Russell Telker from Mom's Basement Racing.
And so that rounds out your results at the end of this first round of this season here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors. And I'm looking through, we've got a rather interesting assortment of drivers looking to have a chat with us. And I think I will get it started by having a chat with a sponsor of today's broadcast here of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Mr. Brian Szynski has been very generous making some of these broadcasts possible over the past couple of seasons. And we will drag him into the commentary booth here. Brian, welcome into the booth, and thank you for making today's broadcast here of the Formula V Weekend Warriors on SMB possible. Happy to talk us through this race that we just saw here at Oulton. Looked rather hectic out there on track.
Oh, I'm just here to call myself an idiot. I was riding behind James Sheldon. We knew he had the speed that he could catch the pack in front of us. That happened, and then I was wide in turn 2 and just lost the rear end, and that was the end of my race. I could have had a podium, but I was on 11 or 12 X's on the last lap and decided to fight a little too hard for the podium and went off track. So I got disqualified and lost, I don't even know how many spots. But yeah, I thought it should be a fun race to go and rewatch. I'm just here to thank Dietmar Burel with Coyote Racing, all your Formula V parts. If you want to get the right stuff for a Formula V and not a regular dune buggy Volkswagen, give him a call. He's great.
And I will say, Brian, if you want to feel any better about the other end of this race, I will rehash the first ever interaction that we had when I was doing a broadcast. I think it was back probably at the start of 2024, one of my first broadcasts with the other Esports Racing League, the old one on Tuesdays. And I think I mistook you for Brian Belansky from the Inside the SCCA podcast. So if you want to feel better about yourself, just remember what I did many, many moons ago, and you'll feel a heck of a lot better.
So I forgot to change my livery back to the green car because I was just going to run the purple car for the June sprints because I just came from the June sprints running the purple car, and I have stickers on there. One is the SMB sticker, and the other one is an Inside the SCCA podcast sticker. So Brian Belansky is on that purple car now, in real life, not iRacing yet.
And I saw the other updates that you were giving about running in the June sprints and some of the adventures that you've had putting together that car for running it in real life. Always love to see that in sim to real life crossover.
One more shout out right now, because my dad is somewhere in Iowa or Kansas or Nebraska, and Mike Palermo is somewhere between Colorado, Texas, and Nebraska. They're meeting for lunch. They're both driving 20 hours round trip to exchange 3 Formula V engines after that June sprint. So shout out Bill Stasinski, shout out Mike Palermo. You guys are the best. Thank you.
I gotta say, that is quite the adventure. As someone who's been in Iowa and Nebraska, the states are somewhat interchangeable. If anyone's ever driven down I-80 in Iowa, it's basically small little gas station by the side of the road, cornfields and soybean fields for about 300 miles. But Brian, thank you for making today's broadcast here of the Formula V Weekend Warriors possible, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the rest of the race throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you guys for everything you do.
Thank you as well. That right there was Brian Stasinski, our sponsor from today's broadcast, and I nearly said they're looking forward to seeing you out there on the rest of the racetrack. So that would have been factually incorrect. But Josh, I'm gonna let you have second dibs on the interviews. Who do you want to have a chat with?
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to have a little chat maybe with James Sheldon here. Let's bring him in, see if we can't get what transpired there during that little incident that we had. Maybe I can even actually pull it up here and we can see what happened. James, what an amazing push there today to try to make it back up to the front. Looks like just a small kind of, or maybe rather large sort of miscalculation there. Obviously not intentional, but caused a pretty big one today. How'd you see it?
See it well. I look back at it and it almost looked like I meant to hit Jim, but I was trying to squeeze him, but it was such a bad judgment. Jim doesn't seem to mind too much, which is good, so I'm alright with that. But yeah, it's a shame because I was in 5th, I think, but it is what it is. I start from the back. It's my fault, really.
Yeah, you were definitely making a really, really exciting charge there up to the front for sure. Up until that moment, it didn't look intentional from here. Obviously, we see you make good moves out there all the time, and that was pretty uncharacteristic. So we were like, oh, okay, yeah, you must have not seen him there for sure, but caused a pretty big one, unfortunately. But excellent racing. You seem to have this track's number for sure. You're just blowing people's doors off. Is that because you've been here in real life and lots of experience and so on, or what's the deal there?
Have I? No, I've never been in a real car before, but I want to. But I like the track, though. I'm going to be honest, I was a bit sad it wasn't the chicane track, because like last time it was in rain as well, so I would have liked to race that. But yeah, this season actually, a lot of the tracks are paid, so I'm not going to fight for the championship because I don't want to buy them all. So I'll do some, I'll do more of this, hopefully with less crashing into people in the future.
Oh man, well, it's always great to see you out there. Really good charge up to the front today. An unfortunate incident there, but I'm sure once we all look at back there, it's pretty obvious it was just a bit of a miscalculation. We've all had that moment. 2 cars in the same piece of track. So we'll see you next week. Hopefully we will catch you on more races. And yeah, we actually are going off schedule a little bit this year, aren't we? We're not doing, I believe the next one is Phillip Island, then Summit Point, then Cadwell, VIR, Juarez, Long Beach, Saxon Ring, Magny-Cours, Okayama, Lime Rock, Donington, and then the runoffs at the end. So pretty good season this year. Hopefully we'll see you for as many as you can get.
Yeah, I'll see you at Summit Point.
Excellent, man. Right on. We'll see you then, James. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.
No problem, man.
And that right there was James Matthew Sheldon. That Summit Point race in a couple of weeks is going to be really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
The one driver's going to have a lot of momentum heading into the next round of the championship at Phillip Island. Is going to be a race winner at the end of the day, Felix Moas. I will drag him into the commentary booth here in a couple of moments to speak with our first winner from this brand new season. Felix, welcome into the commentary booth. It is the first race, and it is P number 1 for you in this race. How about you talk us through it, man? It looks really hectic out there.
Yeah. So the whole race, as you could see, I was just keeping behind Ethan and Thor because, I mean, they were clearly faster than me. At one point, I got up to second, and Thor was behind me really close. So I was kind of, okay, this is going to be a private thing between Ethan and Thor at the end. I'm just here to pick up the pieces if anything goes wrong between them. But then and the whole race, the mentality was that one. So at some point I was just keeping behind. I mean, I would probably stick my nose, but then the idea was always to back out, not create any friction. And then in the last lap, of course, I mean, I had to try something, and Thor backed out, and I was surprised. And then he didn't attack more. Yeah, that was that. And then I had a good exit of the hairpin. I passed Ethan, and then I had to defend a bit for Druids and for the last corner. And I was really careful so that I would not run wide and push Ethan out in the last corner. And I got the win like that. I mean, actually, this is one of the cases I think the result was better than the pace. Yeah. I had many races where it was otherwise. Now, I mean, yeah, this one was good for me. Yeah.
And, you know, as I was seeing you and Alan run nose to tail, letting those two battle up in front, I was thinking, you know, Felix is probably going to pounce right towards the end of this race. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And you two ended up P1 and P2 around this racetrack, which has the lack of those chicanes on the back end of this racetrack. I want to ask you about your thoughts on the layout of Oulton Park that we ran here today.
Yeah, this layout, I mean, it's kind of fun because it's the drafts race is it's kind of like a two-edged sword. What is that? I mean, two-edged sword. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Because it can be fun like this, right? So you can passing and yeah, sometimes if you push too hard, you can have an accident and then the fun goes out of the window. But yeah, I mean, for sim racing, this is fun. I mean, I kind of like it, but yeah, we could use the one which chicane would spread out the field more, or even the shorter one. The national, I think that's how it's called.
I think I remember distinctly it was the first ever broadcast that Josh and I had done of this series, working together with him working the comms and the cams with me on these broadcasts. It was back at the start of season 4 of 2024, and we were running on the chicane layout, which I think was fun, and I personally enjoyed both of those chicanes. The second one a bit less than the first, but I still think that the chicaneless layout, especially with these race cars, can put on some really, really good racing. I think we saw that got put on full display here today. Gonna be running at Phillip Island though in 1 week's time. That's gonna be another bit of an open track. So what are your thoughts heading off there?
Yeah, so I love Phillip Island, but I never raced there with these cars. Man, this is going to be a draft festival with 2-3 wide because it's a wide track in many places. Let's see. I mean, it should be a good race like this one. If you are in a group that has thoughts straight and don't try to do too wide in the middle of the race in places that it doesn't justify, you can have a good race. So, I mean, let's see how it goes.
And looking forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack in 1 week's time. Felix, I'll let you give any thanks or shouts out before we let you go and celebrate this win here today.
Yeah, as usual, I mean, everybody taking part, making this a great community. Stevie and all the other people that help him with the running the leagues, and you guys in the commentary booth. I've said this many times. It's always fun to go back and rewatch the races.
I'll tell you what, even though it sounds like I'm speaking in tongues and am in tremendous pain with some of the sounds that come out of my mouth when the racing gets really, really close, this series is absolutely awesome to commentate, and super, super happy to get Season 3 up and rolling here for 2025. But Felix, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the win, and excited to see you out there at Phillip Island, and also looking forward to seeing you out there tomorrow for the FF and maybe the SRF.
Yeah, let's see how that one goes.
Alrighty, sounds good, man. Felix, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Ciao.
And that right there was Felix Samoz, your race winner at the end of this race here today. And Josh, I think we have time for one more interview. I say this sincerely, the boss here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. I'm just one of your employees. I'll let you pick the driver that you want to have a chat with.
Yeah, let's get our S2 winner of Parvinder Ladar in here. Good racing today out of him. So definitely got to talk to our winners. Parvinder, great race today. Looks like you were out there racing against Josh Justice, one of the new fellows to the series. How'd that go for you?
Oh yeah, that was a fantastic race with Joshua. We were pacing it, and he was really timing it for the last lap. I had to defend like crazy, and it was a really good race. I must say that it was a bad crash ahead of me with the pack with Guido, Michelle, Jim, Andrew, Bart, I think. So that gave me some freebies, like 5 freebies. But yeah, I'll take it any which way it came. Yeah, but that was nice with Joshua especially.
Excellent. Yeah, he's not an easy guy to pass and to get around. He's a fast driver and stuff as well. Real SRF driver, I believe, in real life. So pretty good stuff out there today. Believe we're headed to Phillip Island next. Is that a track that you enjoy there, or not so much?
I don't actually have that track along with many others this season, but yeah, I'll buy them and try to get some laps in, and hopefully be able to run a good clean race next week.
Excellent. Well, that's exciting. We're just watching you avoid that big crash that happened in front of you. There got a little wobble coming out the back side of it, but we're able to make through it. And yeah, we have a pretty exciting schedule this season, so good on you for picking those tracks up and stuff. You know, one of the best things about the Weekend Warriors here that I have experienced throughout the years is just learning a bunch of new tracks with all the drivers and stuff every week. So enjoy that, Parvinder, and we'll see you next round at Phillip Island. Is there anybody you'd like to thank out there?
Oh yes. Michelle for helping me with her setups, and also the gang for the usual weekly draft parties, which Jim usually hosts, and the cordial, nice, friendly advice and banter that we have in the Discord, and to the admins of Weekend Warriors, to Stevie, James, Michelle, and the rest, as well as to you guys, the awesome broadcasters every week. Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parvinder, for the kind words there, and we'll see you next week. Good racing today.
Thank you. Take care.
And that right there was Parvinder Ladar, your Spec 2 winner at the end of this opening race of the season. Josh, that was a brilliant way to get Season 3's action up and rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I love these old school sports car tracks like this for sure. I believe, we're headed to a bunch of them in the other series as well. Tomorrow, obviously, with the FFs and then the SRFs. And then after that, doesn't stop there. We have some XSLR as well, our action-packed Sunday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. The rest of this season as well, you know. We are definitely still looking, I believe, for the FFs and the SRFs as well. They're a bit light on sponsorship this year. So if you're in the series and you're looking at racing this season, definitely see if you can't open up that wallet a little bit and help out the series so that we can get all of this stuff all lined up for the rest of the series. We can all get out there racing. We have an excellent schedule for all 3 classes this year, and really looking forward to Season 3, Ron.
Yeah, I think season 3 is going to be absolutely amazing here. The action from SMB Summers here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. We've got the action from the FFs, the FVs, the SRFs. SRG has some brilliant racing action on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, and we'll have American Muscle Series returning in a couple of weeks' time. XSLR still has a couple more weeks left to go from their season. But tonight, later on this evening, we've got a rather interesting spectacle. Some action from the top split of the Formula C Fixed Series here on the iRacing platform. It was really on this series for week number 10 last season at Sonoma, where I got the opportunity to produce for the first time, and I was like, you know what, I should maybe give this a whirl so people have more ammunition to fire back on me if they ever want to make fun of me, which frankly I can't necessarily blame them for. So it kind of started off on a snowball, and now we've got Ron's race nights here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Stay tuned on Saturday nights all throughout the summer here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Going to be covering top split action from a whole wide variety of iRacing series, and hopefully you weekend warriors and all of you tuning into this broadcast will potentially be there later on this evening. The coverage starts at 8:15 here tonight, and hopefully all of you will be able to tune in to that. But as for this broadcast for week number 1 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors Season 3 of 2025, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's broadcast, I say thank you also very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.